Federalist uncovering groups in tribal areas handing out cash cards, electronics, and other gifts to get out the vote for Joe Biden. John Daniel Davidson is political editor at the Federalist, and he joins us now. John, great to see you. You say in your article, forget about all these unsolicited ballots that were sent out to tens of thousands of people in Nevada. There is a more consequential scandal, and you write the following, quoting here, under the guise of supposedly nonprofit, nonpartisan get out the vote campaigns, Native American voter advocacy groups in Nevada handed out gift cards, electronics, clothing, and other items to voters in tribal areas, in many cases documenting the exchange of ballots for prizes on their own Facebook pages, sometimes even while wearing official Joe Biden campaign gear. You make the allegation, and you also say you have the proof. Talk about that.
Well, the proof is out there. I didn't have to have any secret sources or off-the-record meetings or anything like that. They documented it themselves on their Facebook pages. And there's dozens and dozens of instances of this, photos, video, all over Nevada this happened. Most of it connected to a group called the Nevada Native Vote Project. Mm-hmm. And this happened in other states as well. But yeah, it's up there. It's documented. Them posting videos saying, come on down to the raffle, enter the raffle, hand us your absentee ballot, and enter to win prizes.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just want to put this up just for clarity so everybody knows this. This is federal election law, and it says the following here, John. Whoever solicits, accepts, or receives any such expenditure in consideration of his vote or the withholding of his vote shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both, and the violation was willful, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 2 years or both. It's clearly illegal. Has anybody pursued this? Are there any lawsuits or legal action that you know of that's being taken in this case?
None that I know of, but what's more important to me is that almost no media outlets have pursued it either. This is the kind of thing a small organization like the Federalist has to report on because the mainstream media doesn't want to report on it because it runs against their narrative that this election was pure as the driven snow and there was no fraud at all, which is clearly not true.
You know, it's interesting because the Las Vegas Review-Journal, I used to live there. I worked in that town early in my career. They've been pretty good about kind of getting to both sides of this. Is there any understanding that they might be pursuing this story in Las Vegas?
I hope so. I hope that they will now that we've reported on it. It's out there for anyone to report on. Like I said, it's documented by the groups themselves. They put this stuff up on their Facebook pages, and it's still up.
Yeah. And it's interesting, John, because, you raise another important question and you say, quoting here, all of this raises some fairly obvious questions. Where did all these gift cards and prizes come from? Who paid for them? How much free stuff was given away? Who's really behind this so-called GOTV effort? And that's a great question. Where do they get all this stuff?
Well, this is part in Nevada. This is part of a larger initiative called Native Vote, which is in turn part of an organization called the National Congress for American Indians. And they get their money from a bunch of sources, charitable foundations, large corporations, and also millions of dollars from the federal government every year. It's unclear who actually paid for the gift cards, but, this is where the money is coming from. It's coming from the NCAI, which helps fund these efforts, not just in Nevada, but there's evidence of the same thing happening in South Dakota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Texas, more than a half dozen other states.
And do you know in Nevada specifically, John, do you know the population of these reservations? Roughly how many people voted out there, how many votes we might be talking about? Your last response.
There's about 60,000 members of tribal organizations in Nevada. It's about 3% of the population. So it's a substantial number, especially when the election is as close as it is in some of these states.
Yep. Well, it is a substantial number, and we will stay on it. Others might as well. John Daniel Davidson, good to see you, sir. Thank you.